James Coburn was a life photographer from 1951 to 1964. His work was covered in Asia, Europe, Africa, and America and communicated important events of the time to the world. In 1950, Time Life Incorporated assigned James Burke to India, and in 1951 he became their full-time chief in New Delhi. In the following years he was also assigned to Greece and Hong Kong. He died in 1964 while on assignment covering the Himalayas. His work included news as well as articles concerning culture and history. This photo was taken by him in 1959 in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, and shows some African kids working on a tobacco farm being fed.
After being controlled for over 57 years, African guerrillas ended a war for the liberation of a country then called South Rhodesia in 1980 to form the nation of Zimbabwe. In 1980, Robert Mugabe was elected as the first Prime Minister of Zimbabwe. After being for over 60 years in war, many of the people living in Zimbabwe were facing the effects of the war by passing through poverty and hunger. So this event led to 20% of the population to emigrate to other countries to find better economic prosperities.
From the creation of Zimbabwe and their problems, there have been too many actors involved. One of them is Robert Mugabe. He became Prime Minister of the country on April 18 of 1980. During the elections, Mugabe survived two assassination attempts, one on the 6th of February when a grenade was thrown at his Mount Pleasant home and the other on the 10th of February when a roadside bomb exploded near his motorcade as he left a Victoria Falls rally. When he was on power, he restructured and repaired the country's economy, and in 1989 he set out to implement a 5-year plan which removed government controls on prices for farm products. Another actor involved is CIPRO. CIPRO was an anti-government force based around the Ndebele ethnicity, led by Joshua Nkomo. CIPRO was responsible for two attacks on civilian Air Rhodesia Viscount airplanes, using a Sun-7 surface-to-air missiles. 10 out of the 18 civilians on board who survived the first crash were subsequently and systematically massacred by the CIPRO militants. The factions led by Nkomo and Mugabe denounced the new government as a puppet of white Russians, and fighting continued. Later, in 1979, the new Conservative British government under Margaret Thatcher called a peace conference in London to which all nationalist leaders were included. The outcome of this conference will become known as the Lancaster House Agreement. The economic sanctions imposed on the country were lifted in late 1979 and British rule resumed under a transitional arrangement leading to full independence.
Another actor that is involved in the Zimbabwe's problem is the SUPA, which stands for Zimbabwe Unemployed People's Association, and this association is focused on economically empowering the ordinary unemployed citizens through the indigenization, share ownership schemes, and lobbied hard for debt cancellation in Resesa, water, hospital, and school fees and other utility bills.
The main sustainable development goal involved in this case is the first one, no poverty. In this case, it has not been accomplished yet, as many civilians living in Zimbabwe are struggling day to day, working in harsh conditions to earn a little money. Nevertheless, there are American projects helping and investing in Zimbabwe's economy, such as the Zimbabwe Project Society, Zimbabwe Health Sector Development Support Project 3, among others.